Welcome to Made in Moray, the podcast that focuses on the successes and struggles of local businesses. Let's get started.
I'm your host, G. Welcome. Today I have with me Nathan Mansfield, who's responsible for two fantastic Facebook pages, Moray Jewel and Nate Portraits. Now, before we get into a little bit more about his work, I'm thinking about how we met. Yeah, because that's kind of a crazy little story to introduce people to both me and you. So yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? It was 2 days ago. 2 days ago, because I'm like, move fast with everything, move fast, get things done. 2 days ago, there was a bit of a storm down near where the sea is, and took my kids down there because it was exciting, and the waves were crashing against the wall and splashing up into the air, and the sea water was raining down on my kids, and they're getting wet, and we're all having this fun, and this guy spins around the corner on his skateboard. It's a skateboard, right? Because it's a big thing. It's bigger than I remember skateboards. Yeah. Right. Comes around the corner on his skateboard, stops and is like, "Hi, how's it going? What you up to?" And I'm like, "Wow, the people here are so friendly and cool." And we got chatting, and I discovered that we shared passions for creation and for art. And I learned a little bit about Nathan's work, and I want to get the work out to more people because I checked out what he was doing, and it's fantastic. And so let's start with a little bit of information about the background of yourself. You're not originally from the area, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm not from the area, but may I just go back to that initial introduction?
Yeah, let's go back to it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's riff.
Yeah, I was highly amused because if I had kids or have kids, that would be like one of the fun things we would do. We go down to where there's a big wall near a harbour and let the waves come smashing over and crash on us because it's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do that anyway, with or without kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of the kid inside everybody, and people should connect with that.
Definitely,
I think. And you're not the only person to say that, actually. Yesterday I was in a shop with meeting some local people, and just around the corner, and the person said, "Oh, there was this crazy guy down there with his two kids yesterday." And the waves are crashing up and splashing over his kids, and the person said, "Well, it's kind of cool, actually. That most people don't go and do that, and it's kind of fun to watch."
I know, right? It's
watch
so
it.
sad.
Yeah.
These are like real, simple pleasures. Mm-hmm. They get me buzzing.
Oh yeah.
Big waves, amazing. Jumping in puddles.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. My sister's 2-year-old. My mum and sister. They love taking him outdoors when it's raining. He loves it. He'll sit in puddles. He'll be on his belly splashing about. So,
yeah.
There's something really positive about that connection with the elements, and it sounds a bit odd for some, like splashing in a puddle, but no, it's amazing.
It's a different approach that adults and kids have, because the adult will walk around the puddle, but the kid will just dive in. Yeah, the adult's usually dragging the kid around to say, "Don't get your feet wet, don't get your feet wet." The kid's like, "No, but I want to." And like my kids came back completely soaked, and I came back slightly wet as well. And it was crazier yesterday because the waves were higher yesterday, and my son was a little bit annoyed that I took the girls out and I didn't take him out, so I had to take him out yesterday, and within 30 seconds I was soaking wet. I'm like, let's go up to the wall and have a look over. At the moment I've stuck my head over,
oh, wow.
Big wave crashed over, and I got it on Facebook Live as well. I was walking around with my camera. I'm like, something's gonna happen. I'm sure something's gonna happen. And it was a nice moment. it's a nice moment to share. But then I got worried that we were going to get washed away or something. something. So I had to drag my son away eventually. He was so, Dad, I want to stay, get wet. But yeah, I think there's a connection between the artist and perhaps the child in the person as well, in that element of creativity.
Yeah, I think you've hit something really special, which is a massive element to, I'd say, living a good life.
Yeah.
On being creative, to staying in touch with your inner child, your Peter Pan, because that's the inner child knows how to enjoy life. He does without having millions of pounds or waiting for extravagant things and material goods. Jumping in a puddle, letting a wave splash over you. Really simple, free.
Yep.
But absolutely amazing.
Oh, I totally agree. You can spend £300 on an Xbox, or you can go out and walk around in the rain, and or just enjoy the elements. Just sit in the sun if it's a nice day.
There's something very connected to already the waves, the rain.
Yeah.
I often and regularly go in the sea, me in shorts, no wetsuit, in the sea here at Lossie or anywhere in Moray or Scotland, and you know what? If it is raining, I'm even more excited because seeing those raindrops bouncing on the surface of the water as you're floating. Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, the simple things can be so beautiful. And if you're in this part of the world, which is the north of Scotland, you're going to get exposure to all of those elements that you're not going to get in other places. You're going to get the wind and the rain. You're going to get these wild sunsets. You're going to get all of these things around about you in your environment. And I think one of the things the artist does is aware of what is happening in the environment and is able to use that to improve the quality of their life and hopefully the quality of the lives of other people as well. How did that start, going into the water and stuff? Because it's not a thing that the average person does. The average person doesn't think, right, well, it's a cold day, I'm going to strip down to my shorts and jump in the river or the sea or whatever. So how did that begin?
Personally, for me, it came from probably 10 years ago. There was a guy in my peripheral awareness called Wim Hof. And Wim Hof has got lots of ice-related world records, like being in the Arctic, swimming under ice for 100 meters on one breath, climbing Everest in his shorts, and various others. And he
climbing Everest in his shorts.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was some years where scientists were saying, well, you're just a freak of nature, you are an anomaly, what you're doing cannot be repeated. But through him, well, his response to that was, I'm not any different. I can teach people how to do this. Now, the technique that he uses is based on a Tibetan meditation technique called Tummo. Tummo. And what they do in Tibet, and it's a bit of a contest in some respects, is they would go outside on a very cold wintry day or even night with a wet woolen blanket, and they would generate heat to basically dry the blanket off.
Wow.
So using this Tummo technique. So with that in mind, the Wim Hof method is, the origins are from there. But having spent 20 years doing various breathing techniques, it's really similar to Kundalini, really similar to Tantra, and yeah, it's but it catalyzes certain elements in the body, certain biological processes which help you to go in the water, to withstand it. I've noticed women can handle the cold much better than men. But if I don't do these specific breathing techniques, which are really simple, I can't stay in the water as long. I do the breathing technique, I go in, and it primes you. It's like you're not even aware that it's cold. Your core stays warm. Wow. And so that is one of the benefits. Winter's coming, people are starting to worry and like, oh no, don't like the cold, don't like winter. But for me, I'm like, it's amazing. For one, the cold doesn't bother me too much. And two, there's so many bright sunny days in the winter. Dry sunny days also. So this area is absolutely beautiful in the winter and all seasons. I started doing the cold water exposure 4 years ago, inspired by listening to a podcast with Wim Hof.
Okay, wow.
And it clicked. It was it just clicked and made sense about like meditation. For him, like the cold water really just brought him into the moment, gets you out of your head, out of your thoughts, into your body. And that's a really important process for living, to get out of your head. Especially if the chatter, the self-talk isn't positive. So doing exercise, doing cold water, amazing for getting you into the moment.
Oh wow. What was it like the first time that you did it?
Okay, well the first time was a cold shower. The only thing I could do was put my hands under it and go, there's no way I'm getting in there.
Oh wow.
And so for the next few weeks it was an absolute battle. Me like in the shower going just absolute. And then like say about 6 months later, I was looking at my shower and I turned the dial and discovered that this fussing and fighting about it being cold, it wasn't even on the cold setting. So once I turned the dial, that's when I discovered, holy shit, that is actually really cold now. So I was a bit of a wuss.
Aren't we all though?
I'd never done this before. But then I got into doing cold baths and going in the ocean, and just like fell in love with it. And since then, through meeting a friend that does the Wim Hof method, we started a little group, and that's also inspired other people to start their group. And there's a dozen plus or more people going in the sea weekly now in Lossie and the Moray area, which is totally awesome.
And getting back to nature and getting back to the positive elements of how we used to live. I don't think we want to go back and spend all our time in caves because it's comfortable to live with central heating and all the other modern things that we have around about us. But there's definitely some benefit about being in touch with the water, the sunlight, the fresh air, and if we look back through history, even in the little bits I know about this region, there used to be these swimming pools at the beach. There used to be these outdoor natural swimming pools, and I know that there were quite a few along the northeast, and I'm not really aware of any of them that still exist today, but people used to take their whole families down there, and they used to swim in the water, and they used to be outside, and a lot of that's gone now.
Which is really sad.
It is.
To think that water wasn't heated.
Yeah.
It was just like a more safe environment away from waves and rocks.
And crabs and lobsters and spiky fish. And
exactly. So there's one named Macduff.
Okay.
Called Tale, and there's still remnants of like the building, but in terms of the swimming pools, they have gone. There is still, it's like a modern, I don't know, architectural layout which has water in it. And it's I really admire the aesthetic look of this as it is right now.
Oh, yeah. I think that there's some little element of his history that's been lost, and the families getting together, going out, going down the beach, getting in the water and swimming. Some people do it, but I just have this feeling from what I know about this area, it's not enough. That more people need to maybe take that step, or just try it and see what they benefit from the experience.
I know. What I've noticed with a few people that have started doing the cold water this year especially is that they can now do it with their family, especially when their kids are already going in the sea, and it's usually the parents that just like stay dry, stay safe, stay warm.
Yeah.
But now they're like, Mum's awesome. She's coming in the sea with us. Yeah. So and it's also an amazing experience for them to bond over too. Like, sharing that. Rather than, it just being a distant thing, and where's Mum? She's just on the beach sitting down.
Oh, yeah.
Father or whatever. That is... it's quite common now, still, in like Scandinavian countries or Eastern European countries. It's still common. They'll go use a chainsaw and cut a larger, like, little pool. To go swimming or dunk.
Well, they cut a hole in the ice, don't they? They cut a hole in the ice and they jump in. I've seen the videos on the internet, and I also have some friends, because I spent some time out there as well in that part of the world. So the cold water lakes for swimming in that part of the world are quite incredible, and it's not something that people really think of doing in this part of the world, or it's not in my mentality. It's not in the way that I was brought up, and I was brought up here, but it's still something that allows people to connect with nature. And there's even scientific evidence now that doing things like standing in a cold shower for 10 to 15 seconds in the morning actually does something to activate the body and the mind that would not be there in your day otherwise. It wakes you up to another level, and it's not just the shock of it being cold. It's the whole experience of challenging yourself to do something that's just a little bit uncomfortable. And I gave a presentation on business last year, and at the end of the presentation, there were 3 things you can do every day to improve the quality of your life, and one of those 3 things was 10 seconds in the shower in the morning. Flick the switch from hot to cold. If you can survive those 10 seconds in that cold, then there's nothing else in your day that's going to be more challenging than that. So you're already one step ahead of everybody else.
Amazing.
And that would relate to that.
Yeah,
that was one of them. The second thing was get rid of your chairs, have a standing desk in your office, and have full mobility in your body and keep yourself active. And I can't remember what the third one was, but that's okay, because there's lots of ways.
I'm intrigued about the stand-up desk though.
Yeah.
So I would imagine I would start to like put too much weight on my left foot and bounce to my right foot. I like the idea of it, say, being a running machine.
Oh yeah.
Type scenario, walking machine.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Or even a cycle bike.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's got the desk with the bike there. You don't have to cycle, or even I'll tell you what I did. We're going way off track here, but I don't care. Let's just go wherever the conversation goes. So I got the exercise bike, bought one of those heavy duty music stands, for musical notes. So I stand it in front of the exercise bike, and I put my computer on it. Right, so I can be on the exercise bike and still be like checking my emails and doing stuff. I know people can do that on their phone as well. They can, and it's just a simple little thing. And with the stand, I can take it anywhere, and just have a standing desk. So I can take it from any room to any room wherever I want to work. And because, I live in one flat with my family, sometimes there's a lot of chaos in one room and, there's a lot going on. So I'll just I'll just move my desk, just pick up the stand and I'll go to another room. And it's a simple way to solve the problem. And when you're, the difference between being active and passive is massive. Yeah, 8 hours a day sitting in front of your computer, and the body position is slightly unnatural. Compare that to if you did, you wouldn't do 8 hours a day at the beginning, of course, because it'd be tiring, but you'd build it up step by step, just like the shower, right? You do it I'll do it for 1 second, and then 2 seconds, and then 3 seconds. You sort of build it up. So I'll do half an hour, and then next week maybe an hour, and you build it up over a period of time, and then you've got a completely new habit there. So step by step.
That's great. That was that was probably the most unhappiest I've been in a working scenario was when I was working for myself and spent so much time in front of a computer every day, 6-7 days a week, and I was very demoralized from lack of mobility. Sitting down so much.
And for me, I think better when I'm active, when I'm moving. It just works. It works for me, and I think it works. I've seen it work for other people as well. Or change the chair for one of those big exercise balls. Yeah, change the chair for one of those big exercise balls. So you're not conscious of it in your brain, but your brain is constantly working to balance your body while you're sitting on the exercise ball. So your subconscious mind is still moving, and the core. Yep, that's it. Exactly right. The core is working, and you don't have to do it all the time. If you just do that for half an hour or an hour a day, it does make a difference. And those little things build up to a big thing, like just going in the water for a short period of time in the day can change the outlook of the whole day. And if you can get sort of beyond that challenge, and if you can do it in a safe way, don't just go to the end of the pier and jump.
Important to mention.
Be safe, because I was out on the beach the other day with my with my kids. The first day we were out on the beach, and we just had our shorts on, and we went in the water a little bit, and it was cold, and then we decided not to go in. And you got that mental thing in your head where you either make the decision, or I either do it or I don't, and my brain was like, no, I'm not doing it. And the next day we were out in wetsuits, and that was it's too easy. You don't feel the environment at all. Now, it makes it comfortable if you're going out surfing or you're working out in that environment.
You can stay out for hours.
Yeah, perfectly understandable. It does its job, right, really well. So I'm out there I was out there with my daughter and her wetsuit, me and my wetsuit, and we were in the water. And I turn around and look, and there's this crazy guy walking down the middle of the river. Right out towards the sea. There's this crazy guy, and he's holding something. He's trying not to get it wet, and he's got his hands above his head. And I'm thinking, what is? And not in a wetsuit, of course, just obviously wearing shorts, and just what is wading through the river and then trying to get out onto the beach, holding up these things. But you any idea who that was?
Yeah, it turned out to be me. Unbeknown to us both, that was our first meeting. Yeah. A few days before. Yeah. So I seen you, I was like, trying to keep my tripod dry. Yeah.
Trying not to drop all your equipment at the river.
Take me out to sea. And I spotted you, and I gave you a wave.
I was just like, there's another one of these crazy local people here. And I was really respecting what it was you were doing, because you have to respect people who are doing something that you can't do or you don't know how to do, right? You've got to have some respect for people when they're doing that. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool that he's doing that. And then my brain is like, I wonder why he's doing that. I wonder if there's some like super purpose that he's got, and I couldn't quite see it. It looked like he had a tripod or something in your hands. I was like, maybe he's trying to get out onto the special part of the beach to take some nice pictures or something like that. I don't. What were you doing?
Well, yeah, it turned out that my GoPro was attached to that tripod.
Okay.
The GoPro is waterproof.
Oh wow.
But the tripod isn't. So I was making an effort to keep that part specifically dry.
Oh, right.
Because there's, the legs, there's chambers, it's full of air, so once you get water in there, it'd be a bit of a pain. So yeah, I went on the beach, and the beach was quiet, as you'd imagine. Mm-hmm. It's the East Beach.
Yeah.
Bridge is shut. And
people can't get to the beach because the bridge is closed because it is old and broken and fallen down.
Yeah, it's in disrepair at the moment. And so I did see two people on the beach. They were going for a walk, and then there was myself, and it was amazing to be there because it is my favourite beach. Mm-hmm. And so I used the GoPro. I filmed myself walking down the beach. I'm going to make a little film about it. And the GoPro, the video camera, does slow motion.
Oh wow!
So it can do 240 frames a second.
Wow.
An average normal video is 30 frames, so 8 times slower than normal speed. So I filmed some underwater droplets.
Oh wow!
Underwater, so I will piece that all together into just a little video with music.
Oh wow! That is the true creative artist from my perspective. You're not just creating art; you're experimenting with life. It's not just a photo; it's a whole experience involved in it. You're building a narrative and a story into the whole process, and that's that makes a difference. It makes a difference. There's a difference between I'll just stand here and take a picture from a distance or making the effort to get up close to something, and also have the vision to do that as well is quite incredible because not everybody has that vision. So what inspired you to do that?
Well, I love doing that, getting in the sea. I love looking at the skies and the horizon and the beach, and whatever time of year there's a positive within whatever weather conditions it is. You might feel it looks a bit drab and overcast when you're at your house or looking out the window, but get outside on the beach in the forest and you'll realize it's a completely positive experience. I love nature. Nature has been a massive, life-changing relationship that I discovered as a teenager, and I feel like I want to share that. I want to share that to perhaps inspire other people to realize how beautiful this area is, to discover that there is something beyond my four walls. There's a vast resource of inspiration in the outdoor world. And I have noticed that a lot of people, especially natives to this area, they often don't go outdoors to the beach to go for a walk in the forest. It's just, it doesn't even compute. And I find that really shocking and sad, but it also activates my curiosity to wonder why. Why is it that so many people, especially the locals, don't have that connection with this beautiful, beautiful land?
I think part of that is when you live with something that becomes familiar to you, you don't see it anymore. Like any object that's say around your house or whatever, if you're used to seeing it, you don't even look at it anymore because you know what it is and you know that it's there. It's the same dilemma that that happens when tourists come to a region, where the tourists do more and as a result learn more than the people who actually live there. I mean, the people who live there, maybe they got inside information, maybe they know a bit more about things, but the tourists come with no prejudice. Yeah, without expecting to like or dislike, or without knowing everything about what's there. And then they go out and they learn more and they see more, and that's what makes travel great. But it also means that when you're living in a place, you're like, I know this street, you know, it's been here forever, it probably will be here forever. You have your routines, your habits, and the right habits will transform your life incredibly. But if keeping exactly the same habits without integrating anything new, that can kill people. Right? They could die without the integration of new things, which is where art comes into life. It's bringing life to life. It's recognizing the important things. It's seeing what's there. Without local people to remind people of how beautiful everything is, they might just not see it anymore. You know, when you can wake up every day and walk down the street and at the end of the street see a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful sunset or a golden coloured sandy beach, and the Lossiemouth beach here is one of the top 10 beaches in Scotland, might be one of the top 5 most beautiful, I don't know specifically, but it's culturally very important, it's historically very important, and it just kind of gets lost, like it does in a lot of towns. People are attracted to whatever is new, and they forget about the beauty that they have right there. Well, that's my experience. Anyway, what's yours?
It's really important that I state that there's a lot of locals that really appreciate where they live and what's on their doorstep and love this place, and that's awesome. But yeah, I was just making a comparison to me being an outsider, and I think it's quite common often that people that weren't born here, were from somewhere else and came here. As a boy, I was quite gutted. I come from the centre of Manchester, deep in the city, to this place, and it was a bit like, nah, right. It's I didn't understand it. It's a completely different way of life. But yeah, my parents were always taking us to the beach, always outdoors. And then started to, as a teenager, I got into photography. I got my first camera, and that was an amazing tool to start looking. And I started to look at what was around me, look at the clouds, go for a walk on the beach, started to see things that I hadn't seen before. So photography and a camera is an amazing tool that can help you see beyond what you might normally look at, what your attention is usually focused on. With a camera, it's up to you to choose how you use it, but you can use it to, okay, I want to make a good shot, a shot that I'm interested in, and that can then start leading you to search and to find and discover things in just the day-to-day that are appealing, that give you a little spark of interest, perk you up, maybe even give you a good photograph. And that can open up a whole world of creativity and discovering, wow, I made that. And that leads on to, I made this too. And that can build on self-esteem, build on the richness of enjoying your life with a simple tool like a camera, for example, and starting to appreciate what is around you.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's very interesting that you point out that doing something leads to you doing something else or something extra or something more, that creativity leads to more creativity. You just do one thing to change one thing, and then that changes something else, and it sort of creates a domino effect. And the artist or the creator is doing that constantly. Yeah, I think that everyone has a little bit of an artist inside of them. Everyone has that element of creativity, whether it's with a camera, or in the kitchen with cooking, or finding a new way to train if you're doing some kind of sports activity or something.
Even whilst you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
How you don't necessarily, every person you meet, you don't have a list of dialogue and sentences you're going to say to that person. You are improvising in the moment, based on your emotions and the dynamic and the interaction. It is like musicians jamming, but in a very day-to-day normal way.
Yeah, if the song is played in exactly the same way every time, it becomes pointless, meaningless. It has no feeling, it has no emotion in it, and that element of improvisation is key. From the work that I've done on podcasts before, it's really interesting to me that no two conversations are the same. The same two people can sit down and try to discuss the same subject in the same way they did before, but every conversation is going to be different, and that's the beauty of being human, I think, is that difference. You don't get that from machines. We're not going to get that from so-called artificial intelligence, which, from my perspective, is a kind of oxymoron, because if you're artificial, you're not really intelligent. So I think that human beings have this amazing ability to invent and reinvent with everything that's round about them, and they do it. They do it without realizing it. They do it in their conversations every day. They do it in somebody in a business might improve their workflow. Somebody might in a family might do it by spending more time with their kids. And I don't know, maybe it's on my mind because it's my son's birthday today, and it's like I'm thinking about, how can I make the day different? How can I make it more interesting? How can I make it even more special than the other days? And so this it's creativity that has a kind of beauty to it. And in one of our conversations from the other day, there was a recognition that the creative as a word, talking about language, creative as a word has changed from being an adjective to a noun. It used to describe people. So we used to have creative people. Now we say, oh, he's a creative, or she's a creative. The language has changed because I think we've recognized how important creation is. And even that's a deep topic to go to go into, the whole element of creation there. And the artist is at the core. I think that people don't realize it, but the artist in many ways is at the core of all transformation in society. They're right there at the center, and it might be disguised as it might be cloaked as a business or something, but you can't have a business without being involved in some element of creativity, whether it's from scheduling the who's going to work at what time and in what way, or where are you going to put the objects in your shop so that people see them more. It's constantly happening, and people and everyone's got that ability, and they need to tune into it, I think.
Personally, I didn't really realize I was a creative person until I left high school, and that's when I discovered painting, and a few years later writing poetry, and got really deep into photography. And then a knee injury led me to do less physical activities, and then I started making music in my 20s, and these were really, really positive mediums to give it a go and find out what you can do. Don't limit yourself to what you think you are or who you think you are, because that might confine you to not trying certain things, because you don't make music because you can't, or I'm just a painter, or I'm a joiner, I'm a dentist. No, I can't do those things. That's really sad. Don't put yourself in a box and a specific identity, because it will confine you. I made up a saying 20 years ago, and I really like it, and it's, I know who I am through not knowing, and that allows me to just keep options open, to keep exploring. And I think it's really important that we don't define ourselves too specifically. And for me, creativity has been a positive experience, a positive exploration. It's helped me build up my self-esteem, build up my self-worth, realize that I can do things beyond what I thought I could have done, realize that, oh my goodness, I can write a song, I can sing, and I understand that it is my innate ability, or my innate interest is to be creative. I'm not good at accountancy, I'm not good at writing a CV or an essay. Luckily I've made an effort to discover what I'm good at, what really brings my interest and love for life, and it is being creative. Not everybody, just some people are not going to be interested in these things. That's just a fact. It's not for everybody, but there'll be some people out there that might not have found what they're into, or what gives them passion in life, and so it's important to just keep exploring.
Yeah, explore reality. That's what it's there for. People want to. I think sometimes in the modern world they want to dive into fantasy and escapism, and there's enough that we don't understand about reality to keep us busy for a long period of time if we want to go down that road. I think it's a choice that people have to make. Yeah, it's interesting to have the perspective, all I know is that I don't know. It really does keep a door open. I think when we realize that we only ever maybe understand 1% of what's going on at any point in time. If we stop for a second and we realize there is more that we don't know than what we do know. If we just stop for a sec, we're not, and for sure we have people who spend time studying subjects and they know more than other people, and they've got to have the respect for putting the time and effort and energy into learning subjects and skills. But there's always more that we don't know than what we do know. If we can stop for a second and realize that, then I think that removes a lot of the fear, a lot of the anxiety, a lot of the conflict, a lot of the problems that exist in the world, because we then realize that we need to learn. We've got to put an effort into being better to try to move forward. And something that's been on my mind recently is just the principle of making things better requires being slightly different. It requires not being the same as everybody else. It requires embracing every single ability that we have, and every single disability as another form of ability that makes us different, that we can highlight. Because there's people with no arms and no legs who are out there giving motivational speeches about improving the quality of life, and if they can do it, there's a hell of a lot more that we all could be doing to each feed into each other's lives and improve the quality there. And what you also said about limits is really important. Don't limit yourself. People put labels on things and they think they understand them. Like, as you mentioned, like, oh, he's a joiner, or she's an accountant, or they're a teacher, and we give them a label and we think we understand them, but life's far more complex than that. If you've got a bottle of water on a table, you can say, well, there's a bottle with water on the table, but that's just not taking into account the room that you're in, who built the table, all those little molecules that are there, that making up every little object that's there. We give it a name and then we ignore it because we think we understand it, but there's always so much more that we need to learn, and we can learn that from looking at nature's constant creativity. Every sunrise, it's different. It's different. Like, years ago, one of my many crazy artistic business ideas was, I'm just going to go around and take pictures of the sky. It's beautiful, and it's never the same, ever. And it's like sometimes, because it's windy in this part of the world, it's just like a rolling movie. Yeah, and I think everybody who appreciates art and life, understands the beauty of just taking like 5 or 10 minutes to watch a sunrise or a sunset, or look at as kids do, look at the shapes of clouds drifting across the sky. Not that people should forget about what they need to do every day, but just take a step back and take a breather every now and then.
Yeah, it's not often that easy though, is it? It's life does get in the way, or responsibilities more so. And then, I think especially then that's important to make time.
Oh yeah, life.
The year before this, I was working 6 days a week most of the year, and I was happy, but I didn't have enough time for myself. And when I got like 3 days off at Christmas, I spent most of that time yawning, just like emotionally, energetically just exhausted, just from not having any little moments rest to go, what's happening? What are you up to? How are you doing? As in speaking to myself, like, I hadn't spent time to check in and be like, is this right? Should I have been doing this 6 days a week for most of the year? And it's hectic over Christmas as well for like 6 weeks. But yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, sometimes just life gets in the way, or your responsibilities. Being an adult isn't always the easiest.
Oh, things that we have to do, but I think we all have choice, and we all have to make decisions, and we kind of have to decide which challenges we're prepared to take on. And just in speaking with people running businesses recently, there's not one person running the business who hasn't stopped at some point and thought, oh my God, why am I doing this? I can't face this anymore. I can't do it. I'm going to give up. But they persevere. They persevere, realizing that on the other side of the adversity is the challenge that's necessary to get you to the next level of life, to get you to give you the information that you need to progress, to be better as a person. And it's something that very, very often doesn't appear in places like school. You mentioned that you didn't find that creative element of yourself really in school. It came later. Which is interesting, because we're not going to find any answers to any questions if we're not slightly creative in the way that we approach it. And I don't remember there being a subject in school called creativity. And I don't remember getting any good marks for creativity.
I like this thought on the subject of creativity has been mulling around in my mind for many years, decade plus, but being described as like solutionism. Okay. Like finding solutions to things, to problems, to to make things better. You're writing a piece of music. How do you keep it interesting? You have to answer those questions. You have to come up with solutions that work for you. So yeah, a subject on creativity, or solutions,
Oh yeah,
finding the positive and the negative, turning it out, flipping it.
Yeah, a problem solving without a specific answer. Because I think there's a million ways to do everything. Everybody does the same activity slightly different, and there's nothing specifically wrong with that, right? If we all sat down to write a book about the same subject, each book would be different, because that's the way the human mind sparks off. It's the way that it works. What do you do to keep yourself creative right now at the moment?
I'm mainly doing photography. Mm-hmm. A lot of my time is also spent trying to build a brand around two specific areas. One is landscape photography under the brand name Moray Jewel, and secondly portrait photography under the name Nate Portraits. And what keeps me going creatively outside of those two is making a little bit of time to make some music. And I have been spending time strengthening my voice. I have seen a local singing vocal teacher, but it's more convenient that I use an app on my phone, which is fantastic. It's paid for itself. It is expensive. It's like £40+, but often a teacher is £10 an hour or up to 25-30. So it's paid for itself, and it's fantastic. So the aim of me doing these vocal training is so I can start recording. I can start recording audio and video of me singing either my own songs or other people's. So yeah, one of the aims is to sing other people's songs, so that there is a comparison. There's a comparison to me, to the original artist. Yeah. How good can I sing? So hence why I'm training. Yeah. Just so I can.
Makes sense.
I can hit those high notes, for example. Because one of my favourite artists is Jeff Buckley, and I've learnt a lot on how to sing by replicating, by trying to emulate singing with him. And his songs touch on some really, really difficult high notes, especially. But I find that really gripping. It ignites my interest in a song. If it was just easy, well, where's the challenge in that? Yeah. So it really invokes and activates my emotions through those vocal range challenges. And I'm just deeply in love with his music. Yeah, anyone who hasn't heard the album Grace, I'm going to say the same thing again and again. If you haven't lived, if you haven't sat down and listened to Grace a couple of times, and you're not human if it doesn't touch your heart in some way. And sadly, only the good die young, right? I think he only got that one full album out in his lifetime. A couple of other good recordings, though, I believe. Isn't there a cafe sessions? Yeah. There's a cafe I can't remember what it's called. Oh yeah. Live at Sinead, perhaps. I think that's the name. Yeah. Sinead was a cafe in New York that he used to frequent, and kind of found attention and interest from big labels. He also has another album. I think it's called Sketches for My Sweetheart, and there's about a dozen songs on that, and there's some amazing ones. Yeah, that's the stuff that was sort of unfinished, right? Yeah, very good chance. Yeah, because it was generally him and a guitar, not a full piece. Because Grace was a 3-piece, Jeff and the drummer and the bass player, and the three of them, my goodness. Epic, and sometimes it takes a while for the art to filter through the systems that we have, and the two things that are interesting about that
he covered Hallelujah on that album. Originally, it was done by Leonard Cohen, but the Buckley version is considered the version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Leonard wrote the song in the 90s, perhaps. Jeff released it on Grace in 97, and that was the version that has gone on to become, hundreds of covers all over the world.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In the UK, we had like a Pop Idol, X Factor star that released it at Christmas, and I think it could have been number one, and it was the Jeff Buckley version.
Yeah, it's there's a lot to explore in that area. There's a lot to explore in there. There's so much good music, so little time to fit it all in, and maybe with access and the modern world and technology, maybe there's opportunity now for people to go out and discover this great art that they didn't have an opportunity to find before. Everything from the access through music applications to downloading things from the internet, to be able to walk through virtual galleries if you can't get there in person. There's so much opportunity, and it's creators who are creating the opportunity for other creators to create as well. So that there's so much good stuff being done that it's a good time in which to live, I think.
Indeed it is.
I think it is.
I use technology when I'm making music, or I end my photography or video with a computer and software.
Yeah.
And regarding the music, I usually don't play an instrument in the classical sense, or the more. I don't play guitar. I don't play piano. I don't play maracas. I make my music with a computer and external hardware. So there's a box in front of me. It's got buttons and dials and switches, and I press them, and I can make music live, or I can produce music on a timeline. And the device in front of me, that is great because it takes me away from just using a mouse.
Yeah.
It gets me more involved in the process.
Oh yeah, and for artists, all this virtual technology that's coming out now with a lot of immersive three-dimensional art, and not only just being used with headsets, and not just being used to do things like paint pictures or make music, but to do things like design buildings and engineer cars, and it's quite fantastic what's going on, and there's a lot to look forward to in that area.
I tried VR for the first time a few months ago. Met a guy at Inverness Airport. He knew my dad. He lived in Lossie. He was going offshore to work on a boat at Holland, and so he passed me this box. He's like, "You like gadgets, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." I opened it up, and it was a virtual reality headset.
Wow!
And this new version, it doesn't need a computer. Everything is in the headset, so there's no cables coming from it. Even the two handheld devices, they're wireless, and immediately I'm in a room. I'm in an elevator. I go up, and it feels real. Wherever you move your head, that virtual room or space still moves with you, so it stays static whilst your head changes position. Absolutely amazing.
You have that at home?
No.
Oh, okay.
But that one is called the Oculus Quest.
Okay.
And it got me thinking that in terms of sitting at a computer or standing, perhaps that is going to be a way to be more physical in using a computer, for example.
Yep. Yeah,
That's
it's
forward.
Absolutely. A lot of things to look forward to. I want to be really respectful of your time today, and I want to say thank you very much for coming in, sitting down, sharing all these great ideas. Where can people catch up with you if they want more information about your creative work?
There's a page on Facebook, and Facebook's been a great place for me to build some attention to the work I do. The the main page is Moray Jewel, as in the Jewel of Moray. Jewel like a diamond. And that's where I put my landscape photographs of the Moray area, further afield, and I share parts about me going in the sea, and yeah, all that good stuff. And also when we do some events or some sea dips, there's a regular sea dip that goes on a Monday at 9 a.m. at the West Beach. And there's also one
Monday, 9 a.m. West Beach. I'm programming my own brain to get there. Sounds like a good idea to me.
And there's a few locals that started their own sea dipping group called Lossiemouth.
Okay.
They're on Facebook as that name, Lossiemouth. And don't ask me how to correctly spell heats.
Nobody does.
They're on there. They meet up usually, regularly, Sunday, 11 a.m. West Beach.
Wow. People are doing things.
Yeah.
It's great.
Another positive thing is there's the West Beach Cafe, the Ponderosa. They do amazing coffees. They do bulletproof coffee. Great bacon rolls, vegetarian options, Scottish breakfasts. Lovely people too. And on a Sunday, and if it's a nice day, there's sometimes a salsa class that happens just on the decking outside.
Oh wow!
On a Sunday, yeah.
Wow.
Lots of good stuff going down at the West Beach.
Fantastic. Is there something that the community or people in the community could do to be more supportive to artists within the community?
I think that would take somebody actually with a bit of sway to change things, because I mean, prospectively, you know, it's easier to change your mind than to physically shift things. You know, you'd have to create an event, for example. If somebody had money, then perhaps it would be great to showcase the creativity of local people. They could be still in school. Maybe they're a budding artist, very talented. There's a guy in Elgin that's extremely talented and he goes by the name Mada Art. Lovely guy. He predominantly focuses on like comic art. Started off with an iPad Pro, and now he's leading on to using a computer, and he's pushing it. He's got the support from his mum, I especially know, and he was at the Comic-Con at Moray College a few months ago. So perhaps we need more exhibition opportunities, fairs to share your wares, so to speak, or even for musicians, you know, like musicians to share what they do, you know, in an event, for example.
Absolutely. All good ideas. So people out there, get your act together, set up something, get involved, get out to venues, get out to places, get out in the fresh air. Maybe you'll catch up with Nate if you see some guy wading through the river half naked. It's probably him, right? I'm gonna have to get you to take me out and do some of these activities, because sitting and talking about it is fantastic, but it's not where it should end, right? So I'm definitely.
It's so hot and cozy here in this room.
It's actually too hot.
So maybe we can finish with a dip in the sea right now.
All possibility. Arg. What do I say to that? Oh my goodness. I have to say that all possibilities are possible. I've got to check it with my son, because it's his birthday, and I've got to check what he needs. But I'm not adverse to that experience. Definitely not. And I know that my day will be brighter and better and more beautiful for at least making the effort. Yeah. So yeah, we'll find out. Tune in.
Let's see what birthday boy wants to do.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, tune in later to find out what exactly happened, and that's it. Thank you very much for coming in today. I really appreciate the time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Made in Moray is a product of the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. Book a free online personal or professional development consultation today. What are you waiting for?